Jeffrey Epstein was back in court today for sex trafficking charges. Now, he will not be getting out of jail anytime soon, as the multimillionaire and registered sex offender faces new allegations of sexual abuse and rape. Epstein's legal team asked the judge for 13 months to review more than 1 million discovery documents. A trial could start as soon as June of next year, but it could change depending on pretrial hearings. Meanwhile, RT correspondent John Huddy, who visited Epstein's private island, has this part of the story.
We flew into St. Thomas like Jeffrey Epstein had for many years, only we were in a small commercial plane and Epstein would arrive in his private jet. After a night on St. Thomas, we woke up early the next morning and chartered a boat to take us to Epstein's Little St. James and Great St. James Islands off the southeastern coast of St. Thomas. The trip across the turquoise water from the marina didn't take long, only about 15 minutes, and then there they were, the notorious islands in a tropical paradise with a sordid story. The building on top of the island there, that's Epstein's main residence. There's a stone wall, there's a lawn, there's a couple of other buildings here, and we're not sure what they are. Maybe they're guest quarters, maybe employee quarters, we're not exactly sure. But we're also seeing palm trees lining the island. Well, every single palm tree was imported. We're told at a cost of $20,000 each. On the opposite end of the 72-acre island from Epstein's mansion is the temple-looking structure that once had a golden dome, ripped off during Hurricane Irma, according to the locals we talked to. Many were reluctant to go on camera to talk about Epstein, saying they didn't want to be connected to his story. But as one boat captain told us off camera, the people here are relieved he's in jail, saying that a dark cloud has been lifted. On St. John, where you can see both of Epstein's islands, we met one family visiting from Texas who had also heard about the so-called Pedophile Island.
We come from Houston, where they've got a lot of issues with trafficking, and then, to come here where, everybody's very comfortable and it's very peaceful, there's not much crime here, and then not very far away to have, all of that going on.
To have that island, to see it literally offshore, to pass by it, it's striking, and how lavish it is. As you see that, right?
Absolutely, and then, how he's gotten away with this for decades, and I guess the truth will now come out.
The truth in St. Thomas and St. John is that Epstein is not well liked, with many we talked to saying they were uncomfortable with how he flaunted his wealth, reportedly paid employees to stay silent, and seemingly scoffed at the law. Epstein apparently had plans to expand his home on Little St. James and construct employee buildings on Great St. James, which would also be used for equipment storage. We were told that Epstein was possibly being fined upwards of $15,000 a day for building without permits on Great St. James. There is a noticeable difference between the islands, Great St. James, which is mostly undeveloped, and Little St. James, with its roads, helipad, buildings, statues, even a fake cow grazing on the manicured grass. I didn't see any no trespassing signs on Little St. James, but I was hesitant to go on the island nonetheless to try to talk to employees. So I took a swim to get a closer look of the island and then decided to walk up the dock without going any further, hoping someone would hear me as I announced my presence. As I started walking back to the boat, a man in a motorized cart came down the hill. But I explained who I was and why we were there. He refused to speak to me and asked us to leave. I agreed, and we left without argument. He would watch us from the island, camouflaging himself amongst the trees, and a few minutes later, this boat came up alongside with someone else taking our picture. Well, it sped away quickly once we turned the camera on. Later, back on St. Thomas, we went to the American Yacht Harbor, where Epstein's LSJ barges docked, used to transport equipment and workers to his islands. We were told he owns 6 boat slips and rents more than 2,000 square feet of property. The office was closed, the shutters locked. At Sirali King Airport, there were no signs of Epstein's private jet or the helicopter that locals, like Mason Muhammad, a driver on St. Thomas, would see flying overhead with Epstein, and the young women Mason and other islanders said Epstein often had in tow.
St. Thomas is actually a real nice place. The people are friendly, the locals are friendly. Like, we don't really have that down here a lot, So it was really something that we all don't agree on. Like, that's something nobody should agree on. So he dissolved all the time. he should get.
It could end up being the rest of his life in prison if convicted. Epstein now also faces an allegation of raping a 15-year-old girl in 2002, yet another accusation involving the powerful man wealthy enough to buy 2 islands in a sunny paradise with a dark and disturbing story. For RT, John Huddy.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.